But I want to draw this out before we start winding this thing down. What a contrast between chapters 1, 2, and 3, and then here in chapter 4. What a tremendous contrast. And you can see through all those chapters the work of God. And all those, how God speaks to us as His people. Through all those 4 little books in Ruth. You move from tears to joy. You move from hard labor to rest. You move from emptiness to fullness. From poverty to riches. You move from all that, from fear to peace and to assurance in God. All that transpires through all those 4 chapters. As I said in the beginning, it's going to have a happy ending, don't worry. It's going to have a good ending, a happy ending. And even though it started off kind of rough, it has a happy ending. Listen, we have things in life like that. Not all of we. We have things that we have rough patches, we have seasons that sometimes it's a tough season, sometimes we wonder if we're going to be able to make it, if we're going to be able to get through it, whatever it may be. But then God, like I said, God is faithful. He proves Himself faithful. If we're faithful to Him, He will be faithful to us. Listen, there's a whole lot more to being faithful to God than just attending church. Now that's part of it. That's a part of it. Well, actually it's a big part of it, but that's part of it. But there's a whole lot more being faithful than just doing things. There's a whole lot more being faithful than just paying tithes. They should be done. They should be obeyed in that. But there's a whole lot more to it than just that. There's a whole lot more obeying God that most people sitting in pews right now, this hour this morning, have not even grasped yet. They've not because I'm so smart, not because you and others may be so smart. It's just because they haven't sought God for the revelation. They're satisfied with ambling along, doing their own little thing, and they get a little blessing here and there. They enjoy life here and there. They have a little, something here and there. They enjoy stuff like that. They just ambling along. They're not involving themselves in the work of the ministry. They're not being generous. They're not committing. And commitment in this country today, especially in the church world, well, any aspect of that you're talking about, business or otherwise, commitment is at a low level. People just will not commit themselves to things, and certainly to the Word of God. They will not commit, because total commitment to Jesus Christ means sacrifice. It means sacrifice. It means, again, laying aside of self. And so, the thing that made the difference in all these things, moving from these things, from tears to joy, from turmoil to peace, from labor to rest, and all, the thing that made the difference in all that was this: obeying the Word of God. That's what made all the difference. Look here. When there's things that you know that the Word says, and you know the Word teaches that, and you know the Word instructs that, and you disobey that, God can't bless disobedience. Now, if it's something you don't know about, it's something that you're in ignorance about, God may wink at it for a little bit, but He's going to find a way to get that truth across to you somehow. But if it's something you already know about, you've been taught, you've been instructed, and yet you're going to disobey it anyway, God can't bless that. Some people wonder, why this people, they get so blessed. God ain't doing anything for me like that. Why don't He do something for me? Well, are you obeying the Word? Are you really, sincerely walking in the obedience of the Word that you know? I ain't talking what you don't know. I'm talking what you know. Because it's worse if you know it and don't obey it. It's worse. But if you know it, you need to be walking in it. There's numbers of things I've taught over the years in pastor's class, basic fundamental principles. Over the years in other settings, I've taught basic fundamental principles of the Word of God, and some people still ain't walking in them. Some people still, even though they've heard it and seemingly received it, they still are not walking in it. Some of them moved on, and that may be part of the reason they moved on, because they couldn't commit. Some of them may still be here. But in the Word you know, when you've been taught, you've instructed in that, walk in that Word. Obey that Word. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. I'm not advocating anything like that. At least perfect in the sense we think of perfect. Now, you can't be perfect spiritually. You have a perfect relationship with Christ and God. So you can be perfected spiritually, which means mostly become mature spiritually. But you won't be a perfect person. I mean, doesn't mean you won't drop the ball. Doesn't mean you won't miss something sometimes. Doesn't mean you won't, just have a moment, something like I did Friday and things like that. But it does mean that you can get restored quickly, back where you need to be quickly, and start walking in and obeying that Word that you know. Amen. So in Ruth, when she put herself, remember we talked about last week, she put herself at the feet of her kinsman redeemer. She lay before His feet. She entrusted herself to Him. She trusted Him to do what Naomi was telling her about some of these things, and she trusted God. Actually, what the bottom line is, she trusted God. Listen, when we put ourselves at the feet of our Redeemer, everything changes. Hallelujah. When we put ourselves at His feet, meaning we lay our trust at His feet. We totally rely on everything He says and He does. We lay that at His feet, and we totally leave it with Him. Everything changes when we trust ourselves to Him. God, I don't know how. Bonnie and I have been here before, time and time again. That's why, sometimes I get mad at myself, because doubt still wants to creep in sometimes. When you've seen God do it before, and she's had to remind me before. I can pull one particular incident out of many of them, but we had a bill facing us. This is on Sunday. I did not receive that weekend or through my paycheck what I need to meet this particular. It's an important bill. It might have been an insurance bill, some kind of bill. It's an important bill that had to be met that day, on Monday, that day. And I didn't have the money for it. I didn't have it. I thought, well, I'm going to have to let it go until I can do something else. And she told me, I think that Sunday night, she goes, says, listen, has God let you down yet? And of course I had to say, no. No, it's hard to meet with somebody right, but when they're right, they're right. I said, no, He hadn't let me down yet. She said, well, He ain't let you down this time either. Now sometimes I have to remind her too. We have to remind each other. She said, well, he's brought you this far. He let you down. I got off of work that Monday afternoon, pulled up to the mailbox, checked the mail. Had a check in the mail that I had no clue that was coming. I didn't know. It was a royalty check that was big enough to cover that need that we had that I had to pay that day. Glory be to God. Tell me God ain't faithful. Hallelujah. He might make you sweat a little bit, but He is faithful. Hallelujah. So we lay our trust at His feet, everything changes. Everything changes.